Good evening. This is CTV News for Tuesday, August 16th. I'm Byron Scott.
And I'm Patricia Vallone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, search efforts continue for a sixth day at the Flower Branch Apartments, the site of a fatal fire explosion in Silver Spring last week. Local and federal agencies, including the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, continue to investigate. They have not determined the cause of the blast, which killed 6 people, injured more than 30, and left about 100 residents displaced. Officials say they're looking into whether natural gas played a role. This morning, U.S. Senator Ben Cardin and Montgomery County Executive Ike Leggett met with displaced residents. At a media briefing afterward, Cardin said he wants to assure the families that federal partners will be there to help with housing and legal resources.
In the course of discussions, issues such as replacement of legal documents came up, dealing with foreign embassies, etc., where I think your federal partners will be able to help in dealing with some of those issues. So from everything dealing with the fact that we have an immigrant community, the federal partners will be there to help people in an emergency circumstance deal with their emergency needs.
K Management Company has been working with the county. There are some questions related to trying to find transitional housing. They are working with the county to try to find housing within this general vicinity. They have a number of apartment units throughout this area, and I'm confident working with our personnel and with them, we'll be able to accommodate that.
The testing that's been ongoing over the last, yesterday, was principally focused on the buildings that were directly impacted by this event to understand exactly what the problems may have been there. The system has been capped off in other places so that those lines would not impact the other lines of the adjacent buildings, which, based on the inspection that has been relayed to us by Washington Gas, those lines are safe.
President Rosabel Morales tells CTV News that she has heard nothing about her 8-year-old son who's been missing since the fire. One person remains unaccounted for. Investigators have not yet identified the 6 victims. When asked about it today, officials said that releasing individual information before a preliminary report is complete could be misleading.
And with the investigation and recovery effort ongoing, attention now shifting to finding long-term help for the victims. In addition to housing, the county is working with area organizations to provide medical and mental health services. Gustavo Torres of Casa de Maryland says families are devastated and traumatized. The immigrant advocacy group has been assisting residents since the incident. Torres says they have a long recovery effort well ahead of them.
They are really sad. They are very upset to what happened. They don't know. They are lost. Many of those people are very lost. They don't know exactly how they are going to, revive their lives. And part of our responsibility as CASA is to make sure that we coach them, that we provide assistance, that we work with the Red Cross, with another different organizations who are doing a tremendous job.
CASA held a community meeting at the Long Branch Recreation Center last night. Torres says close to 200 people attended.
Meanwhile, families in neighboring buildings say they are living in fear and heartache.
Sentí una bomba y me dio miedo y por eso salté.
¿Y ahora cómo estás? ¿Estás durmiendo bien o no?
No, siento miedo, a veces me despierto.
Leslie Viva Salas is having trouble sleeping since last week's fiery explosion in a neighboring apartment complex.
Todos estamos afectados, más los que recibieron la explosión en el building. Ellos están más afectados que nosotros emocionalmente.
Her mother, Marielle, says she's been distraught as well, feeling a deep emptiness inside. She says her family and neighbors are feeling symptoms of PTSD.
We're having a hard time coping with the entire thing. We have post-traumatic stress, so we feel very anxious. We can't sleep at night. We can't do regular things that we used to do anymore. I try to go out on runs, but it's still constantly in my mind, and I feel like I just have so much that it's overwhelming.
Neighbors have said they still smell gas and have even seen smoke while they cook. Some have even had their actual stoves replaced by management. Right now we're standing at ground zero where there's still a faint trace of the smell of gas.
Nosotros decíamos que huele a gas, pero no le habíamos tomado atención. Y entonces, ahora ya llegaron a arreglar, cambiaron estufa, todo, ya está, pero nosotros tenemos miedo de encender.
Realmente hay como mucho tufo a humo y eso, entonces las condiciones como que no son muy deplorables, o sea, no muy humanas.
Both Donaldo Mondragon and Angelica Alvarez say even with new stoves, they're still afraid to cook and live in fear that what happened next door could be repeated. From Silver Spring, Patricia Vallone, CTV News. And officials say they hope to release the cause of the fiery explosion by the end of the week.
And it was run allegedly over the course of several years and involved dozens of victims. A human trafficking ring that crossed state and county lines has now been shut down. Law enforcement officials making the announcement today. Denise Douglas has those details.
It was disguised as an escort service, but it wasn't.
Part of a human trafficking operation dating back to 2013, Mosby, Perry, and Jones recruited, transported, and manipulated and threatened women to get them to perform sex acts in exchange for money.
Officials say Rashid Mosby, Tara Perry, and Joshua Jones were behind a human trafficking ring. They allegedly placed countless ads looking for models under the business name Pink Pleasure on the online site Backpage to lure women and young girls.
The defendants are alleged in the indictment to have arranged and paid for the transportation of women who answered their ads, and once they removed the women from their homes and their familiar surroundings, they would control and direct the location and movement of the victims.
We have had in these cases, for example, dozens of victims, but we were only able to convince a handful of them to cooperate.
4 victims, ranging in age from 19 to 21, are listed in the indictment against the trio, who are accused of renting hotel rooms in Prince George's, surrounding counties, and states to run the operation before they were stopped.
In 2015, we became aware of a pattern which we began to investigate. As that pattern became more apparent to us, quickly we became engaged with the Maryland State Police, talking about going across jurisdictions, going across the state, going across state lines, and then becoming more sophisticated in the way we track this.
And we understand that this issue is a huge, huge issue.
Prince George's County State's Attorney Angela Alsobrooks says they are working on a number of solutions to cut down on the problem.
So we have worked with the hotel industry in Prince George's to offer education on spotting human trafficking and working with them to encourage increased check-in procedures to make sure that we are not missing people. In fact, we have worked as well with our county council. I want to thank them for the work that they have done to strengthen legislation.
Chief Stawinski agrees with what's being done and adds a message to parents to help prevent cases like this one.
What you can do is you can be nosy about the applications that your children are involved in and the people that they're talking to, and through that, we find information, we find out about predators.
Denise Douglas, CTV News.
Officials say they continue to look for victims in this case. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Byron Scott.
And I'm Patricia Vallone.